I'm going to show you the solo section to Christmas is Coming from this book. So it's not actually in this book, it's on the album. So I'm going to show you, if you've tried playing from this book, you'll notice this solo section is missing. So I'm going to play a little bit of it first. I'll show you the chords here. Let me get them up for you. Here it is. Okay, and really if you look at it, it's just a vamp, C, F, G, C. So I'm going to show you how you get into it, right? There's this vamp section at the end. Just vamps there, and then so if you can reach it. So let's talk about that. So you get into from the vamp, and then, or he does like a glide thing. It's kind of hard to hear in the recording, but it's just this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like a Latin groove, right? With like a montuno. So that's why the tenths work really good if you can reach them. If you can't, just do C, F, G. And if you have a bass player, obviously, you could just play the top them. And then if you listen to it, occasionally he'll add in this approach note. So like a half step above the C, going down to it. So that's the left hand. And then what is he doing in the right hand? He does a lot of this stuff. This glide up to the third of the chord. So it's like a C chord. On the G. C and then G. And then what else? He does this little lick thing. Kind of boogie stuff, and then these fourths. That thing. So that should get you a lot of mileage. He also does this other thing. So this like arpeggio thing, just these triads going up and break them up. Okay, or in sevenths. Then the other thing he does is kind of standard bluesy stuff. So I have other videos on that that'll get a pretty good handle on what that's about. But if you think about this pentatonic scale with a couple blues inflection notes. So all I'm using is these notes with an occasional E flat. You can also get away with this. This glide here, this note here, and this note there. Really anywhere with a whole step in this scale, but those are the most common. You can also works there. I think it's supposed to imitate either the voice or like a guitar bend or something, especially if you're adding that top note. It sounds like a guitar bending note with the sustained, other note sustained, right? That double slide. So, there you go. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple stuff. Go listen to it. I would walk you through and listen to it, but I'll probably get a YouTube strike for copyright or something. So go listen to it, and I've covered most of the devices that he's done in his solo. The one thing I need to cover is how to get out of it. So he goes back to that section. All right, if you listen to it. So just a vamp. And I can't tell if they're counting off measures or it's just Vince Jolly looking back at the bass player and the drummer's like, hey, ready? And that's the impression I get at a lot of those recordings. I try to transcribe them and they're sometimes a little random. So it's probably just they're looking at each other like, hey, you ready to get out of this thing? And then they just kind of go for it. I don't think it's super strict like they're counting 32 bars or something. They're just kind of going for it, and it's kind of a little bit of a free-for-all when I listen to those recordings. So there you have it. You know how to get into the solo, how to get out of the solo, some of the devices he uses when he's soloing, blues licks, these glide things, and that's pretty much it. So have fun with that solo.